Very good evening. You are watching Primetime News on TV1, coming to you live and direct from our Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. Bringing you the news, I'm Tarusha Kumar Singha. Up first in your headlines.
Newsfirst headlines. Main sponsor.
Valuable Finance, best finance company.
President chairs special meeting on the COVID-19 pandemic, makes a special address to the nation.
මහානායක ස්වාමීන් වහන්සේලාගේ ඉල්ලීමට අතිගරු ජනාධිපතිතුමා ඒක බොහොම සාධනීය විදිහට ගත්තා.
Quarantine curfew imposed from 10 tonight to 4 a.m. on the 30th of August. No impediments to carry out essential services. No fuel shortage in the country. A statement from the chairman of the Petroleum Corporation. Why are there delays in solving problems? Venerable Ale Gunawansathera raises concerns.
ඇටකුණා වෙලා කුණු වෙලා ඕජස් කලන්නකොට විසඳන්නේ. ආණ්ඩු රකින්න එක නෙවෙයි අපේ යුතුයකම දැන් ජනතාව රකින්න එක කියන එකයි මට පැහැදිලිව කියන්න තියෙන්නේ.
Arid weather conditions affect Polonnaruwa district. A former ISIS leader murdered by the Taliban.
Newsfirst headlines. Main sponsor.
Valuable Finance, best finance company.
President Gotabaya Rajapaksa addressed the nation a short while ago. The president assured the nation that everyone over the age of 30 will be fully vaccinated by the 10th of September. Now, President earlier today decided to impose an island-wide lockdown that will come into effect from 10 p.m. tonight until 4 a.m. on the 30th of Monday. This decision was taken when the special committee to combat COVID-19 convened this evening.
We have about 3 million doses of the vaccine coming into the country in the future. About 98% of those who are above the age of 30 have been vaccinated at present. About 43% have received the second dose of the vaccine as well. By the 31st of August, we will vaccinate about 81%. By the 10th of September, we will provide the second dose of the vaccine to 100% of those who are above the age of 30. The number of cases infected with COVID-19 and the number of deaths will reduce as a result. When providing vaccines, we prioritize those in the front line, the security forces and those who work at factories. We were also able to prioritize those who are above the age of 60 and we were able to vaccinate them as well. In addition, we were able to vaccinate about 1 million people engaged in work at factories who are below the age of 30.
Now, in addition to the views you just witnessed, the president also commended the services of doctors, nurses and all health sector staff who had operated during this period while putting their own lives at risk. The president added that it is clear that this is not the time for strikes and protests, adding one must not take the country towards anarchy. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa said the government is committed to ensure it settles foreign debt on time, pay the salaries on time and provide relief, and in order to do so the country's macroeconomy needs to be managed. The president said he instructed the health sector to conduct an antigen test at least once a week for the over 60 population who are suffering from chronic diseases. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa said if a long-term lockdown is to be imposed in the future, all citizens must be prepared to make sacrifices. He said everyone must understand the situation in the country and must be prepared to take the country forward in a planned manner. A decision has been reached to vaccinate every citizen above the age of 60. The president had given instructions to vaccinate all citizens above the age of 60 before the 1st of September. It has been decided to carry out this vaccination drive under the supervision of the Army Commander and with the advice of the health sector in the country. The president had given instructions to provide local medicines to the general public on a regional and a municipal level during the quarantine curfew is in effect.
Before the quarantine curfew was announced, a special meeting was chaired by the President at the Presidential Secretariat.
The President considered the request of the Mahanayaka Theros positively. I would like to say that the President will heed to the advice of the Venerable Theros. Now, Commander of Sri Lanka Army General Shavendra Silva said that quarantine curfew will be imposed across the island from 10 p.m. tonight. These measures will continue to remain in effect until the 30th of this month.
The army commander said that during the period during which quarantine curfew will be in effect, all essential services, medical supply and distribution, agriculture and textile sectors will be allowed to operate without any hindrance.
There is no need to obtain a special permission slip for people who are travelling to work. You will be permitted to report to work after showing your identification to the police officers and members of the army present at the roadblocks. The government has decided to launch a special inoculation program for people above the age of 60 during the time quarantine curfew will be in effect. Thereby, the Sri Lanka Army and the health sector will be deployed to conduct this special vaccination program for people above the age of 60.
Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa has requested the government to break free from superstition and rely on science and lock down the country. The opposition leader highlighted that countries around the world do not petition the gods for a solution to this issue, but rather rely on scientific means to curb the spread of the pandemic. The opposition leader stressed that the responsibility of a majority of the deaths caused by COVID-19 must be borne by the government. He pointed out that the government must place the country under lockdown for at least a few days. He added that increasing the number of daily tests, importing much needed medicine to the country, managing the health sector without letting it collapse are some of the responsibilities of the government. Minister Prasanna has suggested that 75% of the salaries of the members of parliament, 50% of the salaries of public and private sector employees, and 30% of the salaries of minor workers should be contributed. He also proposed special privileges that health workers and other groups who worked tirelessly to curb the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic will be entitled to. Minister Prasanna Ranatunga also proposed for people who receive a daily salary and are severely affected by the closure of the country to be given concessions. The letter from the minister states that the government is trying to protect the lives of the people rather than retaining power in this challenging time. Minister Prasanna Ranatunga has pointed out that the government has a heavy responsibility to protect the people from the pandemic by explaining the truth to the people instead of spreading negative ideas by staging media circuses.
I would like to request this unwise government to stop lying to the people. Recover the tax relief given to your cronies. The 35 billion rupees can be used to pay 5,000 rupees each to those who are self-employed. The government can also discard the unwise decision to completely suspend all chemical fertilizer imports and at least allow the importation of fertilizer required for exports so that dollars can flow into the country through that. On the scale of COVID-19 deaths per million, Sri Lanka is number 1 across the globe. Malaysia stands at number 2. Amidst heavy opposition from the people, the Malaysian Prime Minister had to resign from his position. The government, including the President and the Prime Minister, must take responsibility for these deaths. They cannot continue this by threatening state sector employees, saying that their salaries will be reduced to 50% if the country goes into a lockdown. Today, we have a ruling regime that places their faith in superstition.
Minister of Trade Dr. Bandula Gunawardena said that an uninterrupted supply of essential items will be ensured.
It
is quite easy for us to decide to shut down the country. However, several sectors will be severely affected by this move. When manufacturing and distribution does not operate smoothly, the prices of goods will tend to increase. If the supply chain is interrupted, we will not be able to control the price hike. We must be responsible and mindful of the trying times ahead. We are taking steps to provide relief to the people during these crucial times. If the supply of imports to the PETA market is suspended, then the people of our country will be left to starve. Therefore, we held discussions with the PETA Traders Association and requested them to keep wholesale stores open and assured that facilities will be provided to transport essential goods. If the imported goods cannot be released, or if the released goods cannot be distributed from PETA, a massive shortage in essential items will arise in the country, leading to a massive increase in prices. To avoid such a situation, we have also requested the support of private sector organizations. At this juncture, I propose to the Parliament to make as many sacrifices as possible as a country. In line with the proposal I made, I have gone ahead and donated my salary as a parliamentarian to the COVID-19 fund. As our country faces such trying times, every citizen of Sri Lanka must make a sacrifice at this point.
ලිඛිතව දැනුම් දුන්නා. මේ අවස්ථාවේදී රටේ සියලුම පාර්ශ්වයන් විසින් කැපකිරීමක් කරන්න වෙනවා හැම කෙනෙකුට රටක් වශයෙන්.
මේ රටේ බොහෝ ප්‍රශ්න ඇටකුණා වෙලා
Most problems in this country are solved after they reach a breaking point. As problems are not solved at the initial stages, they become worse. And by that time, the country is burdened with more problems as well. As a result, hearts are broken. People must be protected. Although the government continued to claim that the economic state of the country has improved, the people of this country were not provided with proper forms of relief. The government must work towards eliminating waste, corruption and fraud. If this is done, we will be able to solve these problems of the people. They make many announcements with no plan in mind. A certain individual makes an announcement and people gather in long queues to purchase their groceries. On the other hand, another faction says there is a fuel shortage in the country. That creates congestion at fuel stations. Why doesn't the government make these decisions together? Ministers who should be responsible are saying various things.
දැන් අර ගේ මුදුල්ලිය චිරිබිරි ගන්නකොට ඉතිපිසෝ මතක් වුණා වගේ දැන් විවිධ ඒවා කියවනවා. නමුත් ඒ කියන චරිත දිහා අපි බලන් ඉන්නවා. මොනව කරපු මිනිසුද කියලා.
We are now judging these individuals. What have they done? The crucial times our country is facing now are the consequences of the decisions made by uneducated people in this country instead of the educated and intellectual civil society leaders our country has. When making these decisions, the government must consider the plight of the people as well, instead of just considering the government's point of view. A government is established to protect the people of the country. Our priority should be not to protect the government, but to protect the citizens of Sri Lanka.
අපේ යුතුයකම දැන් ජනතාව රකින්න එක කියන එකයි මට පැහැදිලිව කියන්න තියෙන්නේ.
The Trade Union Coordination Center expressed their opinion on the decision to impose an island-wide lockdown during a media briefing today. Now they have taken the decision to shut down the country. But if you do not heed the instructions given by health authorities during this time, don't tell us that you're unable to curb the situation in these 10 days. I would like to request all trade unions to reap the benefits from this decision. We ask the government to respect their own decision and do not ask employees of the private sector to report to work. Ask everyone except the essential service providers to stay at their homes. We are prepared to give our fullest support to achieve that.
ඒ සඳහා ලබා දිය හැකි සියලු සහයෝගය ලබා දෙන්න අපි සූදානම්. ඉතින් රටේ ජනාධිපතිවරයා විදිහට අද දවසේ දින 10 රට වසා තැබීම කියන කාරණාවට එකඟතාව.
The president of this country has decided to place the country under lockdown for 10 days. As the trade union collective, we would like to extend our thanks to the president for taking that decision. We are not looking for a fight at this moment. We are of the stance that the entire country should come together to defeat this pandemic. We would not celebrate this decision in a grand fashion based on the notion that we have won our struggle. We would like to tell the president to take scientific steps to control the spread of the virus during these 10 days.
ලබන පළවෙනිදා ඇවිල්ලා මොකද කරේ කියලා අපෙන් අහන්න පුළුවන් හින්දා දැම්මම මෙන්න ජනාධිපතිතුමාට කියනවා වැහුවා වගේම මේ යටිතලයේ මේක විද්‍යාත්මකව හසුරවන්නට ඕනේ වැඩ කටයුත්ත කරන්න.
Please send an aircraft and bring down 1 million PCR test kits. You can start the testing on the day after tomorrow. The health trade unions of this country are ready to carry out these tests. Also, we are ready to treat the new patients who will be discovered during this period.
Another 2,825 COVID-19 patients were reported in the country so far today. Accordingly, the total caseload in Sri Lanka rose to 380,798.
The University of Sri Jayawardenepura said that 3 mutations of the fast-spreading Delta variant of COVID-19 have first been discovered in Sri Lanka.
3 mutations of the fast-spreading Delta variant of COVID-19 have been discovered. These 3 mutations of the variant have become dominant in Colombo. This is the first time such a variant has been discovered in the world where all 3 mutations are in one variant. We are unable to draw conclusions about these mutations and the effects they would have on the immunity levels of people who receive the vaccine or even the natural levels of immunity that we have. We are carrying out research in this regard. Patients with all 3 of these mutations are being reported in Sri Lanka, and this is the first of such cases reported in the world. One of these mutations, called the A701S, is only being reported in Sri Lanka. However, the A222V mutation was already discovered in other countries as well. This mutation has been reported as the fast-spreading mutation of the Delta variant. The A1078S mutation has only been discovered in Sri Lanka and Malaysia.
Health trade unions revealed that many health workers have contracted the COVID-19 virus and 7 of them had died of the virus. A nurse receiving treatment for COVID-19 passed away this morning.
Ashoka Malkanti, who passed away this morning, served as a nurse at the Randhawa hospital. She was a mother of 3. She passed away while receiving treatment at the Colombo National Hospital, a residence of Vilumbula, Randhawana. She was 48 years old at the time of her demise.
She was very friendly with the patients at the hospital. She worked with us for a very long time and contracted the virus a few days ago. We are deeply saddened by her demise. Her demise will be a loss to the patients here as well.
A doctor attached to the Colombo North Teaching Hospital also died of COVID-19. Rasik Mohammed Janan passed away while receiving treatment at the intensive care unit of the same hospital. He was 41 years old at the time of his demise. He was a father of 3 and served at the hospital for 5 years.
This shouldn't happen to any human being. His child was only 3 months old and I didn't take the child for him to see because the child was so young. My brother was the only one who was fit inside the ICU. All of the others at the ICU were passing away. There was one who was left there alive. But my brother had an issue where his sugar levels dropped suddenly.
We must appreciate the unwavering service rendered by doctors, nurses and other health sector staff in the country during these times of great suffering.
Former Minister of Health Rajitha Senaratne made a revelation regarding the shortage of COVID-19 test kits and medicine in the country.
When patients call a private medicinal center in Homagama, this was their response. When this private hospital was contacted, they say do not conduct antigen or PCR tests. Because when these tests are conducted, patients are discovered. When patients are discovered, there is nowhere to treat them. So do not conduct the test. How about that? It is after reducing the number of tests like this that the number of infections detected have been limited. You all know Dr. Satish Jayawardena. He was the personal doctor of late J.R. Jayawardena. How did he pass away? He died because he did not have medicine. There are shortages in 169 types of medicine at the State Pharmaceuticals Corporation. I have the entire list of these medicines. There are a number of essential medicines here as well. These medicines are not available at government hospitals. They are not available at pharmacies either.
අද පුද්ගලික ෆාමසි වල තමාර ඖෂධ නැහැ.
I don't know about this, but I saw that people have been asked not to conduct the tests at a number of places. I requested for this to be fact-checked. I must clearly state that as the government or the Ministry of Health, we have not imposed or barred any private entity from conducting antigen or PCR tests. All of them can conduct their own antigen and PCR tests. We consider this as an extremely false and misleading statement.
Is there a fuel crisis in the country? Stay tuned to find out. We'll be right back after this short commercial.
Valuable Finance, best finance company.
Do your online shopping with Sambole.lk. Home delivery and pickup now available.
Sambole.lk.
Welcome back to the news. Minister of Energy Uday Gammanpilla and the chairman of the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation Sumit Wijesinghe reassured the general public that there is no fuel shortage in the country.
Long queues were seen at fuel stations in Colombo and a number of other areas in the country. Minister of Energy Uday Gammanpilla in a tweet today said that there is no fuel shortage in the country at the moment. The minister pointed out that he was the first person to announce the foreign exchange crisis to the country, and it will be him who will tell the country if there is a fuel crisis as well. In the tweet, the minister says that it is regrettable that he has to respond to the lies of a retired employee.
We have in our possession 71,000 metric tons of petrol as of yesterday, the 19th of August. In addition, we have 99,000 metric tons of auto diesel. 2,800 metric tons of petrol have been used yesterday and 4,200 metric tons of diesel have been used. I would like to state with responsibility that we have enough stocks of petrol for 26 days more, and the diesel stocks we have will be adequate for another 28 days. These are numbers without taking into consideration the fuel manufactured at the Sapukaskanda refinery. If we take that into consideration as well, I can say without any doubt that we will have fuels sufficient for another month.
ඒ අනුව ගත්තොත් අපිට මෙම ඉන්ධන ප්‍රමාණය කිසිදු ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැතුව මාසයකට අධික කාලයක් සඳහා ප්‍රමාණවත්.
මාස 6 ණයට ගත්තු ඉන්ධන වෙනුවෙන්
We are in debt of 1.4 billion rupees to fuel supply companies for the fuel we have taken for a period of 6 months. That is the root cause of this crisis. As of now, we only have 5,800 metric tons of kerosene oil. Super diesel will only be available for another 7 days. 92 octane will be available for another 12 days. Please provide answers to this. There is a very clear crisis in the country at present.
මේ දැන් අලුත්ව ගත්ත එක තියෙන්නේ දින 12යි උපරිම දින 13යි. මේවට උත්තර දෙන්න දැන් යන්නේ එදා වේල ටුවස් පැහැදිලි අර්බුදයක් තියෙනවා.
දැනට පවතින ඉන්ධන
As the trade union collective, we would like to state with responsibility that there will be no shortage of fuel in the country with the stocks of fuel we have. We have enough stocks to last for another 18 days. There is a high chance that these queues at filling stations will turn into COVID-19 clusters. Therefore, I would like to tell the people not to waste their money and time to pump fuel in this manner.
කොවිඩ් රැල්ලක් බවට මේ ඉන්ධන පෝලිම පත් වෙන්න ඉඩ තියෙනවා. ඒ නිසා ඊටමත් වගකීමෙන් කියන්නේ මේ ඉන්ධන ලබා ගන්න තමන්ගේ කාලය, තමන්ගේ ශ්‍රමය අනවශ්‍ය විදිහට වැය කරන්න එපා. අපි වගකීමෙන් ප්‍රකාශ කරනවා මේ රටේ
I would like to state with responsibility that a vessel carrying 15,000 litres of diesel will arrive in our country on the 22nd of this month. Another shipment carrying 30,500 litres of diesel will arrive in the country on the 25th. Another vessel carrying 26,000 tons of 92 octane petrol will arrive in Sri Lanka as well.
The chairman of the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation said that legal action will be taken against the convener of the CPC branch of the National Employees Union.
අසත්‍ය ප්‍රකාශ කරලා ජනතාව නොමග යවනවා.
If someone is misleading the public by spreading lies, that is a serious mistake. This is a punishable crime under Article 120 in the Penal Code. That is a statement that will stir controversy among the public. We have filed a complaint at the Criminal Investigation Department. We hope that the CID will launch an investigation in this regard and take action against these individuals.
මෙම කරුණ CID යට බාර දීලා තියෙනවා. ඒ අනුව අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා CID මේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් පුළුල් පරීක්ෂණයක් ආරම්භ කර එම චූදිතයන්ට දඬුවම් ලබා දීමට කටයුතු කරන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා.
A symbolic act of protest demanding justice for the victims of the April 21st attacks has been organized across the country. Tomorrow, a number of factions have already pledged their support to this hoisting of black flags as a mark of protest.
If there is a conspiracy, there should be conspirators. There should be people to implement this conspiracy. There should be people to plan. We are demanding to know who was behind this conspiracy. We have received reports that cases are due to be filed against a group of people, and cases have already been filed against some. They said that action will be filed against 25 suspects. But with all of this information, we feel that they are simply chasing behind the small fish, while the masterminds and the playmakers of this attack have either not yet been found or they have been found, and now the investigations are being stalled and diverted to another direction. We are suspicious of this. I believe that this is the reason why we always invite you to join us in this struggle. This is just another part of the drama enacted by the Rajapaksas. I saw these police officers speaking quite emotionally of their plight. Go and obtain a writ petition against the report of the Presidential Commission. None of that was done. If there is something serious like this, you don't have to wait until you receive instructions from anyone. Not performing your duties is a crime. I have said even before that Presidential Commission reports are prepared to sweep certain issues under the carpet. If Shani was allowed to conduct an independent investigation into the Easter Sunday attack, by today we would have already known who the mastermind behind the attack was. But these people wanted to disrupt the investigations and they leveled false charges against Shani and imprisoned him.
The Bishop of Kurunegala, Right Reverend Kitsiri Fernando, convened a media briefing today.
Although we have continued to raise our concerns on the April 21st attacks, we are not satisfied with investigations carried out in this regard. We have also noticed that the government has been reluctant to look into this. Despite several investigations carried out, they have not found the mastermind behind these attacks. In my view, this is a very serious issue. The entire world is waiting for this. Don't think that this can be swept under the carpet. The blood of the people that was shed is yearning for justice. Lives of people were lost. So, to assume that this can be simply swept under the carpet is a myth. We would like to request the authorities to continue to probe into this issue until the mastermind behind these attacks is brought before the law. The people of this country were promised that the mastermind and everyone involved in the April 21st attacks will be brought before the law. The ruling faction used the fear of the people to come into power. But what is happening now? The April 21st attacks are gradually being erased from the books of history as well. If the Presidential Commission of Inquiry appointed by former President Maithripala Sirisena was not up to standard, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa could have appointed another commission to probe the matter. The investigation can also be continued based on certain factors that were raised in the report presented by that commission. However, this is not the case now. This investigation has not headed in the right direction. A serious concern that arose among the Christian community is if the reason behind the government's failure to carry out a proper investigation into this incident was because certain members of the ruling faction are connected to the April 21st attacks as well.
As it was mentioned in your headlines for tonight, a number of villages in Polonnaruwa are experiencing a severe lack of water.
According to the District Disaster Management Centre, 12,053 people of 4,509 families living in 14 Grama Nilladare divisions in the Valikanda, Dimulagala and Hingurakkoda divisional secretariats in the Polonnaruwa district are affected by this water shortage.
බෞද්ධ ආතලිය හිටියට උතර කිසිම වතුර අපිට විසඳලා නැහැ වතුර ප්‍රශ්නේ. ඒ නිසා අපේ මේ ලිංක් කපලා තියෙනවා ලිංක් අඩි මේ 18ක් වගේ කපලා තියෙනවා. ඒත් නෑ යට තියෙන ගල. ඒත් වතුර නෑ. දැන් අවුරුදු 25ක් විතර වතුර නෑ. ඉතින් කොහාලකින් ලිංගකින් ගෙනාලා තමයි අපිට වතුර බොන්නේ. දැන් ලිංක් වලත් හින්දලා තියෙනවා. වඩුව අමාරුට අපි බෙහෙත් තරම් බොනවා කායනේ. ඒ මේ වතුර බීලා මේ ගල් කුඩු වතුර බීලා තමයි අපිට මේ වුණා තියෙන්නේ. 94 ඉඳන් අපි ආවිලා දුකින් ඉන්නේ.
We question the Disaster Management Centre of the Polonnaruwa district on the steps that they have taken to address the prevailing arid weather conditions in the district. The Assistant Director of the DMC of the Polonnaruwa district, Upul Nanyakara, said 4 water bowsers have been deployed to distribute water among the people of the area. He added that about 50,500 litres of water is being distributed among the people daily.